صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد. Inshallah, before we start, we should remember all of our marhameen, all of the ones who've led for us to be in the place we are, our family members, relatives, ulama, anyone who has had a part for us to be in the Majlis A'za of Imam Hussein. Remember them with Surah Al-Fatiha, inshallah. Bismillah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين، روحي وأرواحنا لتراب مقدمه الفداء. فقد قال الله في كتابه المجيد: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الإنسان إنك كادح إلى ربك كدحا فملاقيه. صدق الله العلي العظيم. For the hastening of the reappearance of our Imam, please recite a louder salawat. So we can be among the first to greet the Imam upon his return, the ones who answer his call without needing to hear his call. Please recite the loudest of salawat. Assalamu alaikum jami'an. First and foremost, I'd like to say that I'm honored, and it's a great source of dignity and for me pride to be able to speak in front of mu'mineen, to be invited to be speaking in front of mu'mineen. It's something that perhaps is overlooked sometimes, but we call this, the Majlis A'za of Imam Hussein Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. The fact of being able to speak at this kind of occasion, being able to do anything in this occasion, whether I'm the speaker or someone who's just serving chai, whether I'm, sponsoring some food or just organizing for the center, it's a great tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's an opportunity that's not granted to everybody. And so every part of it, of whoever's taking part of this majlis and majalis should take pride in that, should take it as a source of, positive encouragement for themselves, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a special attention to them, that they're able to take these opportunities, that they're able to do these things. And it's something, again, it's not seen in anything other than some sort of service, the smallest of services that can be done for Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. And whatever we do for him will never be enough. And even if we were to live life after lifetime and to spend the whole of those lifetimes in the service of Abi Abdullah Hussein and the Majlis A'za, it still would not be enough. That being said, it's something that is a curious thing, a sort of strange thing, that our beginning of our calendar year starts with mourning, starts with sadness. But at the same time, there's an opportunity that sadness gives us. That maybe if it were something else, it wouldn't be as much possible or as easy to do. And that's that it gives us the opportunity to reflect and contemplate on ourselves. Naturally, because of the calendar year and how everything will be repeated, we're in the Majlis A'za now. Inshallah, the next year will be also in the Majlis A'za. The year after that will also be in the Majlis A'za. And the same thing, every single year will be the same thing, inshallah. But the question comes that if I'm doing the same thing over and over again, then what am I doing? Am I changing? Am I becoming different? Or am I the same person? Because the same event happening on its own isn't that important. The majlis happening on its own is not that important. It's not like me, by doing this majlis, or sitting in a majlis, or by crying, or by doing matam, or whatever I'm doing, that I'm helping Imam Hussein. That on its own is not much at all. What matters is if I'm becoming different. What matters is if I'm joining the caravan of Imam Hussein. What matters is if my life has become different. If the way that I lead my life is now different. And so this is a time where we need to stop and reflect and think to myself, the previous year, where was I? And have I become someone who is better or not? Have I changed things positively or not? And if I haven't, then why? And if I have, then alhamdulillah, I do shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving me the ability to change myself. But I don't stop. I ask myself, what else needs to change? Before the next Muharram comes and I'm again in this majlis azan, what needs to change? What do I need to do to become different? And this is a question that everyone needs to ask, regardless of age, regardless of how much we've done or how little we've done. It doesn't matter what stage we're in, because everyone is on this journey. The verse of the Quran that we cited said that, يَا أَيُّهَا الْإِنسَانِ إِنَّكَ كَادِحٌ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ كَدْحًا فَمُلَاقِيهِ. That, O mankind, you are journeying laboriously, struggling laboriously towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you will meet Him. It does not matter who you are. All that we can change is the state in which we meet our Lord. And so this majlis is not supposed to be something separate from our journey. It's supposed to be the tool and the means to facilitate our journey. It's supposed to be the thing that makes and allows us to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the best of ways. And this is where we need to use the Majlis Aza as a way of critiquing ourselves. And it's filled with lessons that allows us to do it. Our difficulty is using it in that way. But the Majlis and the things that we remember and remind ourselves within the Majlis are so filled with this opportunity to come and critique ourselves, that no other event, no other time is like that. And so this is the golden opportunity. This is the golden time to figure out what is it that I have that is positive, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to increase myself in that. What is it that I have in myself that is negative, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the tawfiq in changing that. And that's what we need to be doing, consciously, regularly, every single day. We have in our rawayat that this is a narration mentioned by several imams. It says, لَيْسَ مِنَّا مَنْ لَمْ يُحَاسِبْ نَفْسَهُ فِي كُلِّ يَوْمٍ. The one who does not do accounting of himself every day, they're not among us. The one who doesn't think to themselves, what is it that I did wrong today? And ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to stop them from doing that the next day. They're not from among us. Every single day. We have another hadith from Imam, says, it's from Imam Hadi says that Man istawa yawmahu fahuwa maghboon. Says the one whose 2 days are equal to each other, then this person has been deceived. That if my today is equal to my tomorrow, then I've been deceived, I've been tricked. I've deceived myself into thinking that I can just put it on cruise control, just keep on going. No, I have to pick it up a notch. I have to become better. No matter who, no matter what age, no matter what stage of life. Now, the way that we can first look at this majlis and this Muharram as a way of self-reflection and looking into ourselves is very natural. That in the first stage, we're saddened and we have a lot of grief about what is happening and what has happened to the Ahlul Bayt, alayhim as-salam. It's something that we're filled with grief in. We so much so that, it's been 1,400 years almost, and it's still running strong, this majlis. It's still running strong, our emotions of what's happened and how sad we feel. But that means something. That if I'm feeling this sadness, that means that something happened wrong. Something happened that shouldn't have happened. And we say very easily a lot of times, there's parts in various ziyarat, various things that we recite a lot. For example, we say, Ya laytani kuntu ma'akum fafuza fawzan azima. Right? I wish that I was with you so that I could have this great victory. I can have this great victory just like you did. But do we understand what that means? That means that I'm saying that I'm willing to give up, if it were possible, for me to give up everything I have for Imam Hussain, I would do it. If I could go back in time and be on the plains of Karbala, on the day of Ashura, and step in front of a sword that's heading towards Imam Hussain, I would do it. It's a big claim. It's not easy to say. I mean, it's actually very easy to say. It's not easy to mean. That means I'm giving up everything for Imam Hussain. We have to be careful sometimes that just because we say things time and time again, we don't trick ourselves into just thinking that we actually mean them. We have to see, do I actually mean it? What's the test? The test is this. If I actually meant it, then it means that my actions, every majlis, should be becoming more and more Hussaini-like. What I do in my day-to-day life should be more and more like Imam Hussain. Otherwise, I don't mean. Can it be possible? Can it be possible that I actually feel that strong for Imam Hussain? If Imam Hussain on the middle of the battlefield, while there's a battle happening and arrows are showering on him, is praying, but me in my comfortable life, sometimes I just forget to pray. Don't pray. How could I tell myself that I'm following Imam Hussain? How can I claim? It's easy sometimes to look at our lives in snapshots and think that, okay, if there was a sword coming down, and I imagine it, there's a sword coming down heading towards my Imam, I would jump in front of it. And I honestly believe, sincerely believe, most of us would do it. Most of us would probably do that. If we were granted that opportunity, most of us would do it. But the point isn't that. The point is that we have to qualify to be able to be given that choice in the first place. And the way that we qualify is by our day-to-day life, what we're doing there. Am I headed towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Am I doing what He asks me to do, or am I not? The caravan of Imam Hussain wasn't filled with anyone he could find. It was only filled with those who qualified to be there. Wow. So the question is, do I qualify or not? Not whether I want to be there. Does Imam Hussain want me to be there? That's the question. And until we can accurately answer that for ourselves, we'll be filled with problems in our lives. Now, just to sort of, see ourselves accurately, sometimes we have to look at all the dimensions of this question and problem. One of the dimensions is this, that we shouldn't ever think lowly or think small about the love of the Ahlul Bayt. The love of the Ahlul Bayt is something precious beyond measure. The love that we have for them in our hearts, the love of Imam Hussain that's a fire that fills the hearts of the mu'mineen, that's something precious. There's a riwayah, there's a hadith where a person comes up to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, where he says to him that, Ya Aba Abdullah, I'm a bit poor. Like I don't have wealth. and I'm facing difficulties. Imam turns to him and says, you're not poor. He's like, no, I am poor. Like, I really am poor. I don't have anything. He says, you're not poor. He says it again. Says it again that, you are poor. Like he says, the person claims, I am poor. And Imam says, no, you're not. He says, I'll prove it to you. Says that if I were to give you a few dinar, and all you had to do is say that you reject me, you reject, these imams, you don't have, this love for the Ahlul Bayt, would you do it? He said, no. So what if I give you 100 dinar? Someone gives you 100 dinar, say that I no longer have love for the Ahlul Bayt. Would you do it? He said, no. What if I give thousands upon thousands of dinar? Would you do it? He said, no. So he said, you have something with you that nobody can take from you that's more precious than these thousands of dinars. So how can you call yourself poor? That is a reality. There is a reality of these majalis, of what we're doing, of involving myself with the Ahlul Bayt, attaching myself to the Ahlul Bayt, increasing my love for the Ahlul Bayt and my compassion, my sadness for what happened to them, that is precious beyond measure. That cannot be quantified in how important it is. But there is something about love. Love is something that makes you closer to the beloved. If you love something, you're attracted to it. You move towards it. And so the question is again, if I look at myself and I see that my values, what I do in my life, my Imam, if he were standing right in front of me, he probably wouldn't be too happy with me. If that's what's happening, then is it actually my Imam that I love? Or is it some made-up idea of the Imam that's in my head? And this is a very, very painful question that we have to ask. Because some of us have, from the day we were born, were filled with majalis, day in and day out. Crying is something that's, for Abi Abdullah, is something that's in our veins. But still we have to ask that question. And you know why? Because there were people on the plains of Karbala, on the day of Ashura, that were crying for Imam Hussein while they were killing him. So I shouldn't by any means think that just because I've cried, it's enough. I have to look at really, why is it that I'm crying? What is it that I'm doing in my life? Now, this love for Imam Hussein that we have, sometimes it becomes covered up. Sometimes it becomes overpowered or slightly deviated by certain things that are within me. One of those things is the desire of this world. There's plenty of examples, and inshallah one of the nights we'll go over some of these examples historically. But there's plenty of things we can think of in our minds, maybe in our own lives or the people around us. Where people, yes, they come for Imam Hussein in the majalis and things, and they even spend money for it, for sure. They sponsor events, they build masajid, they build, azakhanas, they do whatever they need to do. But do they change their lives for it? Because in some ways, being in this majlis is the easy part. Sitting here is technically the easy part. It's what I do outside of this center, outside of this majlis, that's the much more difficult part. When I have to make a decision that, okay, there's a job interview. The interviewer is a female, I'm a male. Do I shake her hand or no? My religion is telling me no. Do I have the courage to do it? Do I stand on principle? My religion is telling me to observe hijab, both men and female, male and female. Both in terms of clothing, what is worn, and conduct with each other. Am I doing that or not? If I'm not, there's a question I have to ask myself. How am I crying over the parda of Hazrat Zainab? How am I crying about saying that, oh, like, some of her clothings were taken away, that she wasn't clothed in a way befitting herself, that a non-mahram could see her? Why am I crying for that? If it's not important for me, why am I crying? These are real questions we have to ask and identify within ourselves. There's sometimes something even more fundamental though. And that's that, unfortunately, sometimes when we go into the majalis, even though we have love for the Ahlul Bayt, nobody is questioning this. We have love for the Ahlul Bayt. We honestly and sincerely are saddened and grieved for what happened to Imam Hussein. No one is questioning this. But in some ways, sometimes what we do is for our own sake, for our ego. I'm the one who recited this Noh. I'm the one who was speaking at this majlis. I'm the one who did the matam and Sina Zani and all these things in this way. Everyone saw me do it, the hardest way, or the loudest way, with the most scars, with this, with that. This is the place where we test ourselves again. There's a great book, and again, unfortunately, the book is it's written in Arabic, and there's Farsi translation of it, but as far as I know, it's not been translated into any other language. There's a great book called Al-Muraqibat. It talks about what you should do at every moment of the calendar year. Within every occasion, what should be done. And in my opinion, I haven't seen a book that comes close to comparing to this kind of book. Because it's not just about the amal that it says. The author, Jawad Maliki Tabrizi, who was one of the spiritual teachers of Imam Khomeini, said that within this book he has times of personal reflection where he himself is talking openly about his own emotions, about his relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's having a conversation and writing it down, almost like a diary. They're really moving, very precious. In this thing, he gives this advice, this matter regarding Muharram. Says one of the things that's very good to do in Muharram is having a majlis aza in your house. He says it has a condition. The condition is that you do it with sincerity. If you doubt your sincerity, then test yourself. This is the way that you test yourself. He says, one time, do this. You have a majlis aza, but you don't do it in your house. You do it in your friend's house. And you don't allow your friend to tell anyone who is sponsoring it, who is doing it, who is providing for things. Nobody knows except for that friend. And you test yourself. Do you feel like you did something wrong, that you missed out because people don't know that it was your house? Do you feel that now that this one year people saw that you didn't have a majlis in your house and they're asking each other, how come every year they had a majlis in their house, this year they didn't? What's wrong? What happened to them? Do you feel that something wrong happened? If I test myself and I see that's what's happening, then I know something is wrong inside. Something is shaky. Something was about me being seen. I'm being the one who's doing it that mattered to me. This is where we have to test ourselves. If you look at Imam Hussein's caravan, that's a striking thing that you'll see. That the companions, the family of Imam Hussein had erased their ego. It wasn't about being known. It wasn't about someone telling the future generations that this person was on the plains of Karbala. It was purely and purely for the sake of Imam Hussein. That they were there and ready to do that, no matter what. If they're forgotten, be forgotten. Whatever damage happens to them, let it happen. That's something very powerful. That's what we're trying to connect ourselves with. That's what I'm trying to do. I want to join that caravan. I want to be part of it. But I can't just do it by the surface level. I have to change who I am. So we have to use this as a test of testing our ego, seeing whether it's not the case or not. That same line that we had said before of the ziyarah, Ya laytni kuntu ma'akum fafuzu fawzan azima. There's a higher level of that. What if I say to my Imam, okay, and we should say this, but the problem is, can I actually say it? Can I say to my Imam that, Ya layta, how I wish that, أبناءكم أبنائي ونسائي مكان أبنائكم ونسائكم. I wish that my children, the women of my family, were in the place of your children and the women of your family. Not just me, but everything I have. I'm willing for us to be substituted, replaced our places. It sounds like a really nice line to say. Right? Intellectually, we might even say that, this, like if that was in a ziyarat, I would say it. It sounds really nice. I'd even maybe shed some tears saying it. But we really have to ask ourselves, can I say it truly, sincerely, meaning it? Would I be ready to sacrifice my children? Would I be ready for the women of my family to be in prison? It's not easy to say. We can come down a step. Say this to the line that we said. I wish I was there. I wish I was there and have that victory with you. Meaning I want to sacrifice my own. That's a little bit down a step. Right? I'm not talking about my family. I'm just talking about myself. I wish I was there. It's a bit easier to say. If we're sincere, if we're honest with each other, it's a bit easier to say that. That too, though, we have to say, am I saying with sincere? Sometimes I'm not. I'm not really ready to give up everything. If the opportunity was right now, I had to give it up, would I be ready? Sometimes I'm saying, like, come tomorrow. Let me just finish a few other things. I need to get my, have everything in line, and then I'll go. When I'm ready, when I've done this, when I finish my education, when I've gotten some more money, when I've settled some things down, when I'm in a later stage of life, then I'll be ready. No, now. We don't get to choose when the opportunity comes. Right now, am I ready? If I'm not even ready to say that, then I have to ask myself again, what's stopping myself? And this is the time to ask. This is the key thing about these majalis, that they're not supposed to be a passive thing, where there's a person speaking, a person saying some noha, a person doing some things, saying as-salam, saying all these things, and I'm just listening. Or I'm just, taking part in one of this speaking. No, it's supposed to be active. I'm becoming different. I'm using it actively to change myself. I'm using the grief that I feel to soften my heart so that I can look at myself honestly and see whether or not I qualify for that caravan, or whether or not, if the opportunity was in front of me, would I take it or not? That's what we're here for. Please recite Salat on Muhammad on Now, this idea of being critical of ourselves and finding where our shortcomings are, where we've not done enough, and we're identifying the opposite side too, where we've done good, so we can encourage that and increase that. You have to have both sides, have balance in our accounting. It's not just an accounting on an individual level. It goes beyond that. I'm not just looking at myself and saying, what did I do in my personal life? Because Islam doesn't have religion in that way. Islam is not an individual, personal religion. Islam is a religion that includes the society. It includes our social relations. So I have to ask myself the same question on different levels. In my individual level, an obligation, sometimes it's easier. What about my family level? Am I doing the right thing with my parents, with my siblings, with my children, with my spouse, with the people around me, with my friends? Am I doing the right thing by them? Am I being a proper son or father or brother, a friend, or am I not? Am I taking care of my obligations? What are my obligations? If we look at it, it's, again, very tied to the mission of Muhammad. What did he say when he left, or reported that he said when he was leaving Medina? said that I'm leaving. إني أخرجت لتهسيع أمة جدي. I am going out only to basically to sort of correct the ummah of my grandfather, to do amr bil ma'roof and nahi anil munkar. If you look at our hadith, what is the most important of wajibat? Amr bil ma'roof and nahi anil munkar. My relationship with the people around me needs to have that within it. I can't be the yes man of the group that just, whatever everything is happening, I just say yes. I just go along with everything. Smooth sailing. Sometimes you have to put up a roadblock. Sometimes you have to make a bit of an issue of things. If things are not happening right, you have to say something. Again, respectfully, polite, with love, with care. But whether it's with my family or my friends, if I see something happening wrong, I have to speak up. See, my friend isn't acting the right way, and I have to say something. Politely, with love, with care. Not accusing, not saying I'm superior to you, that's why I can tell you to do something better. No. It's not about that at all. It's not about me. It's about I want better for you. I not only have the right to do that, but I also have the responsibility. Meaning that on the day of judgment, if my friend is being accused of a wrongdoing, that he did, is being punished for that, and he turns and says, well, that person, my friend, who's, this scholar from Qom, he didn't say anything. He didn't tell me that it was wrong. He didn't correct me. He didn't push me to do better. Then I'll be held responsible too. I'll be punished too. And that's the same for everyone. It's not just about scholar. It's everyone. Everyone has that responsibility. So am I doing that responsibility? Because that's the Husseini mission. Correcting the ummah of his prophet. The ummah is still here. Has it been completely corrected? No. So if I claim to be a part of the mission, then what am I doing for that mission? Beyond that family and community level, there is a global level as well. We look at what's happening to the ummah of the Prophet on a global level. What's happening in Palestine, what's happening in Iran, what's happening in Afghanistan, what's happening in all of these countries. Can we be silent? Can we say that it doesn't really matter to me? And still be part of the caravan of Muslims? It's not possible. It's not possible. Muhammad is marching in one direction. And we have to realize that what happens in the globe, these events that are happening, are not happenstance, random things that are just there. They're opportunities for us. They're opportunities for us to join the caravan. If the majalis were real to us, we would understand that. That the caravan is traveling and it's living, and it's been traveling and it's been living for 1400 years. Opportunity is still there. It's not a historic fairy tale imaginary thing. It's something in front of us. Whether we take that opportunity or not is up to us. Now, the final thing that I want to sort of end on is that when I look at this happening in the globe, sometimes we have a tendency, which is that, there's an obvious oppression happening in Palestine, for example. Right? There's an obvious amount of hardship and great atrocities that are happening, and genocide that is happening. I want to speak up against it. I want to do things for that cause. We have to be very careful in this as well, that we do things in the way of Allah SWT. standing up for the cause of Palestine is not something separate from my religious duties. It's part and parcel of it. It's another means for me to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's not confuse goals. Our goal is still the same. No matter what is happening, our goal is to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Qurbatan ilallah. That's our goal. Everything that we do is for that goal. Everything that we do is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to do it. And so I'm speaking out with that mindset, which means the way I do it will also be guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala too. It's not the result in this world that matters. It's not. Yes, we're working for that. We want Palestine to be free. We want that to happen in this world. That's for sure what we want. But it actually happening is not in my hand and it's not in your hands. It's not in anybody's hands other than Allah. And so how I go towards that goal should be a way that's pleasing to Allah. That should be the overarching question that I'm asking myself in every part of my life. Is what I'm doing pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not? And again, the relation to Imam is clear. If my answer is no, then I'm disqualifying myself from that caravan. If it's not pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then I don't qualify. No matter how much I cry, no matter how many majalis I go to. We have to make these things real to us, where our goal is clear, our path is clear, and our steps towards that, what we're doing is clear. Let's not fake things. Let's remove all these fake masks that cover ourselves. Let's sit in front of a mirror and be true to ourselves. Honest with ourselves. What is it that I'm doing these things for? And why? Am I becoming better or not? Imam Hussein al-Islam, on the day of Ashura, died thirsty so that his Shia on the day of judgment would be quenched. If we understand that statement, if we just internalize that for a moment, that means that Imam Hussein al-Islam died for me. Not a figurative me, not an imaginary me, not a collective me, individually me. Died for my sake, sacrificed himself for my sake. What can I do on the scales of that blood? Can I rest easy? That should be something that wakes me up, keeps me up at night. It should be a terrifying thought that on the day of judgment, I'll be asked about the blood of the Imam sinners and asked, what did you do in return for that sacrifice? What did you do to deserve the sacrifice that Imam Hussein did for you? اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعل الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. Dear brothers and sisters, Imam Hussein his life, the event of Karbala, is filled with tragedies. And in this time, usually, we spend a lot of time talking about those exact events that happened and the tragedy and the musibah and the masa'ib. But to me, I always like to start the majalis of Muharram with a different musibah. And that's the musibah of the Shia of Imam Hussein. It's our musibah. Our musibah is this: that if it was asked of me, that if I lived 1400 years ago, and I was on the plains of Karbala on the day of Ashura, do I know what side of the battlefield I would be on? And if I'm honest with myself and I look how I live, I can't say that I live like the companions of Imam Hussein. And so I have doubt. I have doubt about which side of the battlefield I'd be on. And to me, there's no greater musibah than that. There's no greater musibah than looking at ourselves and being faced with that doubt. If we look at Imam Hussein, oftentimes we start the majalis of Muharram talking about the musibah of him leaving Medina, of leaving his home. But if you look at Imam Hussein's relationship with the city of Medina, you'll see that the first musibah was not there. The first musibah is in the house of Amir al-Mu'mineen, when a door is broken down, when there's fire put to a door, and there's a lady stuck between the door and the wall. The musibah of Medina continues when there's a slap in an alleyway. The musibah of Medina is when his brother's body is being taken towards Jannat al-Baqi, is taken towards the grave of the Prophet. Arrows are being rained upon that body. So it's not the first time that Imam Hussein has a painful memory in Medina. Who does he turn to at this time? When he's forced and he's told that you have to give bay'ah and allegiance to Yazid, and he's summoned by Walid and told that this has happened, well, Yazid is asking for your allegiance and you have to give it. And he asks for time. He asks for a few nights. Where is it that Imam Hussein goes for comfort, knowing that he's going to leave the city of his forefathers? He goes to the grave of Rasulullah. It's mentioned in a narration that Imam Hussein's son falls asleep near that grave. And in that sleep, he sees a dream where he sees Rasulullah. And Rasulullah takes Imam Hussein to his chest and kisses him between his eyes. And he says to him, كَأَنِّي أَرَاكَ مُرَمَّلًا بِدَمِكَ. It's as if I see you covered in your own blood through the injuries that this ummah has given upon you. He says to him that you're qadun ila abik, you're going towards your father, your mother, your brother. They're waiting for you. They're eagerly waiting for you. This is the comfort that Abdullah is given when he's leaving and giving farewell to his home in Medina. Perhaps it's difficult for us to imagine, but Imam Hussein has seen the things. He has seen Medina in the time of the Prophet. He's seen the footsteps of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He's seen all of this and is bidding farewell to it. But Ya Abu Abdullah, at least you are just bidding farewell to it. At least you are just saying goodbye. You don't have to enter any other city. Yes, you're going to Mecca, but just briefly. But after that, you're not going to enter any city. There'll be a time, Ya Abu Abdullah, there'll be a time when Zainab is also entering a city where she lived in. She lived in Kufa at a time where Amir al-Mu'mineen was the Khalifa there. She lived in Kufa in a time when she was seen as the most honored lady there. But she's going to be entering that city. But she's not going to be entering that city with any form of dignity. She's going to be entering that city without her chadar. She's going to be entering that city when things are being thrown upon her. She's going to be entering the city as a prisoner. To what is asked, which tribe do you belong to? It is responded that we are the Ahlul Bayt al-Rasul. The people can't believe it. Ya Abu Abdullah, you're not going to be there. When Zainab finally returns to Medina, it is narrated that her own husband could not recognize her. The tragedy of Karbala. على لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون